Here's something wild. 90% of intermediate learners can name phrasal verbs, but only 15% actually use them correctly in conversation. Why? Because most textbooks teach phrasal verbs in isolation, like they're just vocabulary to memorize. But that's not how native speakers learn them. They learn them through context. So today, we're doing something completely different. We're jumping into a realistic workplace scenario, a job interview gone sideways. And we're going to extract the phrasal verbs naturally, the way real English works. Imagine this. You're in an interview. The interviewer asks, "Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult project." This is where most learners freeze. They either go silent, or they say something robotic like, "I handled a difficult project." But here's what a native speaker would say, and it's loaded with phrasal verbs you probably don't recognize. "Well, I had to take on this massive deadline, and my team started to back out. So I had to figure out what was going wrong. We ended up breaking down the project. And eventually, we turned it around." See what happened? 4 phrasal verbs in one natural response. And if you don't know them, you sound confused. Let's unpack the first 3 phrasal verbs. Take on means to accept a responsibility or challenge. I took on the project equals I accepted the responsibility of the project. Easy, right? But here's the trap. Students often say, "I took the project," and wonder why it sounds weird. The particle matters. Next, back out. This is when someone abandons a commitment. My team backed out means they withdrew or abandoned. Critical difference. My team went out versus my team backed out. Totally different meanings. Finally, figure out is crucial for intermediate learners because it's everywhere in English. It means to solve or to understand. You'll hear this dozens of times daily. Native speakers use it instead of the more formal solve or understand in casual contexts. Now here's where it gets interesting. Breakdown has 2 meanings. And this trips up every intermediate learner. First meaning, to stop working or fail emotionally. The car broke down or I broke down crying. But in our interview context, break down the project means to divide or analyze something into smaller parts. Completely different. Context is king. And turn around. This is a favorite of native speakers. It means to improve a bad situation. We turned the project around means we took something that was failing and made it successful. Here's the shocking part. Studies show that learners who understand phrasal verbs in context, not as isolated vocabulary, score 34% higher on speaking proficiency tests. 34%. That's massive. Here's what you've probably been doing wrong. You've been drilling phrasal verbs with sentences like, "I turned the light off," or, "I put my shoes on." Boring. Ineffective. Your brain doesn't care. But when you learn phrasal verbs through real contexts, like job interviews, relationship drama, workplace conflicts, your brain tags them as important. This is neuroscience. Your retention jumps from 20% to 70%. So here's the challenge. Stop memorizing phrasal verb lists. Instead, choose one scenario that matters to you. If you're job hunting, watch interviews. If you love cooking, watch cooking shows in English. If you're interested in business, watch startup videos. Find the phrasal verbs hiding in your interests. And that's when they stick. That's when you sound like a native speaker. Here's your mission. Find one real-life scenario in English this week. It could be a YouTube video, a podcast episode, a movie scene, or even a song. Listen for phrasal verbs. Don't look them up first. Try to guess the meaning from context. Then look it up. This active process of prediction and correction is how your brain actually learns phrasal verbs. Comment below with the scenario you choose and one phrasal verb you discovered. Bonus points if you use it in a sentence. And here's the weird truth. Phrasal verbs are actually easier than regular verbs once you understand them this way. They're more logical, more visual, more memorable. Native speakers didn't choose them to confuse you. They chose them because they're intuitive. So stop fighting them and start embracing them. You've got this.